Good evening, my friends. We are reading passages from Inner Work of Adat Hashem, Teachings of Rav Ashlag. We're on page 73. Children are not given diamonds to play marbles with. Similarly, God does not give the treasure of God's exaltedness to one who is not able to feel and appreciate it. Right? So children are not given diamonds to play marbles with, right? You're not given something precious and expensive, extremely valuable, like a diamond, to play marbles with, because children don't appreciate the value of the diamonds. They just think they're a shiny rock that they're going to play a game with. Similarly, God does not give the treasure of God's exaltedness, an experience of God's exaltedness, the gift of experiencing God's divinity, to one who is not able to feel and appreciate it, right? So it's not just like, God isn't just like, okay, here you go, you get to experience God's divinity, random person. Because the random person who doesn't appreciate God's divinity is not going to appreciate it. So Spirit isn't going to give them an experience of divinity because they won't appreciate that. Hope people will forgive me, but this is very similar to a parable in the New Testament about I forgot the word, casting jewels before swine. Casting jewels before swine. You don't give that which is precious to someone who is not going to appreciate it. It's the same thing. One shouldn't give their love necessarily to someone who's not going to appreciate it, or share spiritual teachings from the heart to one who is not actually going to value them and appreciate them. That will diminish the value in a way and could be detrimental to the one who's giving the gift. If you're giving a gift, you expect the person who's receiving the gift to appreciate it, to value it. If they don't appreciate it, then that hurts. It has a negative impact on the person giving the gift. Attaining a level of Emunah is not simple. It takes a lot of hard work. I heard from my teacher, the Rebbe Rav Ashlag Zatzal, that we are not able to attain Emunah through our own abilities. We need to make a lot of effort to think that everything is for the good and act accordingly. In the end, however, only God can give us the ability to believe in God. Right? Really core teaching here. Something I've been saying throughout as we've been going through these passages, that this is a lot of hard work. It takes a tremendous amount of effort, this path of Emunah. We forget so often throughout our day, throughout the daily routine of our lives, that we're living in God. We forget to even think about Emunah, to think about practicing our faith. We get distracted so easily by life itself, but in particular by the digital realm, these phones, these flashy, shiny phones and computers that consume our attention and distract us from our spiritual practice, distract us from what's truly important, distract us from experiencing and longing for experiencing the divine and the sacred in every moment. So it takes a tremendous amount of work through this new year and through this month of Elul leading up to the new year, and through Yom Kippur, I've been giving more of my attention to this practice and noticing just how incredibly challenging it is. That each moment of free time, each moment that isn't something, immediately consuming your attention, needs to be directed to faith, to Emunah, and to feeling or longing to feel God, to be on point with one's spiritual practice. Otherwise, we're consumed with distraction or consumed with coping mechanisms. The phone is an absolute coping mechanism. I know for myself, 100% it is. If I have a break, I lay down, I'm scrolling on Facebook, I'm looking at videos, I'm distracting, and I'm coping with stress in the moment. And it consumes my energy, and it makes my brain and my consciousness mush. Like truly. Because it's so low vibration, like so much. I don't know if what you're watching on, you're watching this right now. But otherwise, what you're watching besides spiritual teachings, I know that I watch a lot of comedy, and even comedy, which is good to take a break, but so much of what's out there is low vibration, which just takes your mind off track. If you're committed to the spiritual path, then you want your mind to be on track, on point in every moment and every opportunity you have. So attaining a level of Emunah is not simple. It takes a lot of hard work and focusing the mind, focusing consciousness on being present, on being here, and on feeling and longing for or praying or crying out to feel God, to feel divinity, to feel purpose, to see. So we are not able to attain, the Rav is saying, Rav Ashlag said that we are not able to attain Emunah through our own abilities. We're not able to attain Emunah through our own abilities, which, okay, again, sometimes, the Rav will say something in some place and I'll say something different in another place. So right here in this place, it's saying we're not able to attain Emunah through our own abilities. We need to make a lot of effort to think that everything is for good and act accordingly, right? To be living according to our faith. To be, you can substitute thinking that everything is for the good, that thinking everything is God. That everything in every moment is God, and everything in every moment is God speaking to us. Not like God talking to us necessarily, like, hey, buddy, do this, or hey, this is what I need you to do. But that God is speaking to us because everything is God. And so we're looking for the God inside of the moment-to-moment interactions, the moment-to-moment events, trying to pierce through the surface layer and level of the experience and see through to the core, see the God in the thing that we are engaged with in the moment. So we have to make a lot of effort to do that, to think that everything is for the good, that everything is God, everything's coming from God, and to be acting in the moment as if that were true. So when you're in the store and you're engaging with a stranger and you're either thinking they're in your way because you're trying to get somewhere, or you're thinking that they are the way, that they're a message, a communication from God. Again, not like, necessarily communication, like you need to invite this friend to your show, or you need to purchase this stock, or, not like necessarily communication like that, but that there's a spark of the divine that's being communicated to you in this moment, and you're here to see that spark, to pay attention to it, to attune to it, and act accordingly, right? Act in that way, and treat everyone as that expression and extension of the divine, so that you can be more in alignment with that, and then you can actually hear the guidance that is coming from Spirit, because Spirit does give guidance and moment to moment when we're able to more and more listen. And the Rav closes, in the end, however, only God can give us the ability to believe in God, right? Only God can give us the ability to believe in God. And really, the way that I translate that face value is like, only experiencing God can give us the ability to believe in God. Only God, only an experience of the divine in a moment, experiencing the light of Spirit, feeling God's divinity, feeling the sacredness of a particular moment, only that can give us the ability to believe in God. Only a deep experience, a state experience, can give us the ability to really synthesize or actualize our Emunah, our faith, our embodied faith in the divine. When we call to God, the reason we are calling is because God is bringing us close. The very act of calling to God is already an answer from God. And this is, again, a similar sentiment in one of the previous passages. When we call to God, the reason we're calling is because God is bringing us close. Like, actually, prayer itself is God bringing us close. It is God that has put the thought in our brains to call out to God, to call out to the divine. It is God who has nudged us to call out, to pray, to express our longing for God. And the very act of calling out to God is already an answer from God, right? So the very act itself already is instilling in us the connection to God. It's awakening our faith, our Emunah, and it is the answer itself. We don't need to hear, hey, Gabrielle, thanks for calling, right? We don't need to hear a direct communication. That the act of calling to God already is an answer from God. I love that. One who aspires to serve God is already called a servant of God. Wow. One who aspires to serve God is already called a servant to God. So one who genuinely is aspiring to serve God, like they have a sense in their hearts of what it means to serve God, and they're longing to serve God, they are already called a servant of God. Now it's interesting because, this, we could say, okay, is a person who is, Orthodox, and doing, as in previous passages, like just studying the Torah from a point of knowledge, and thinking that they're serving God, or they're aspiring to serve God through this knowledge, is that considered a servant of God? Because in previous passages, the Rabbah said that, studying the Torah through, I'm not quoting anything here, but the concept of studying the Torah with the focus on knowledge, attaining knowledge, is not considered spiritual practice. It is only through doing the actual spiritual practice and the practice of Emunah and working on becoming a giver that is considered spiritual practice. So I would wonder, I would think that this doesn't apply to someone who is aspiring to serve God through intellectual means alone. whether that be Jew, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, whatever, anyone like that is only aspiring through intellectual means, but a genuine aspiration to serve, knowing, having a deep sense already internally of what it means to serve God, to serve the One, the source of existence. They are already called a servant of God. Emunah, at its fullest, brings us to the ultimate level of life, where we enjoy giving to others and enjoy when other people are happy. Attaining Emunah is a struggle because our desire to receive wants the pleasure of receiving, not the pleasure of giving. Another very core teaching. Emunah at its fullest. Emunah at its fullest brings us to the ultimate level of life. Emunah at its fullest brings us to the ultimate level of life. What's the ultimate level of life? Where we enjoy giving to others and enjoy when other people are happy, right? Again, once we're in a state of union with the divine, we don't see people as separate from us. We don't see them, yes, they're separate. They have separate lives. They have to pay for their food. They have to live and sustain themselves, etc. But energetically and on a being level, they are not separate from us. And so, when we relate to them as an extension of ourselves, and thus when we give to them, it is in essence giving to ourselves. It is giving to an extension of us. And so when they're happy, it is an extension of ourselves that are happy. When they're sad, it's an extension of ourselves that are sad. When they're broken, it's an extension of ourselves that is broken. We feel that brokenness as part of our own being, feeling brokenness or distraught. So when we get to this level of Emunah at its fullest, this ultimate level of life, we enjoy giving to others. It brings us joy to give to another, because it's like, if you're feeding another, for example, it's like putting food in your own belly. Like when they're satiated, you're satiated because they're not separate from you. So when they're happy, they're elevated, you're happy, you're elevated, because they are an extension of they're a part of you, a part of your being. Attaining Emunah is a struggle. It's a struggle to attain this level of Emunah because our desire to receive wants the pleasure of receiving, right? So the desire to receive that we're encoded with coming into this world, it just wants the pleasure of receiving, the pleasure of receiving food in our own mouths, the pleasure of physical touch and sensation that's pleasurable in our own bodies. It doesn't want the pleasure of giving. It's in separate state consciousness. So it sees others as separate from self. So if another is happy or another is eating and getting pleasure from food, then that doesn't give me any pleasure because it's not my body. It's their body. They're separate from me. Final passage. Everything that happened until now was done by God. From this moment on, I have the ability to choose between good and bad. So this is this is very potent. Everything that happened up until now was done by God. From this moment on, I have the ability to choose between good and bad. So when you really come to the present moment, in a powerful, powerful way, then you look back on every moment leading up to this, and you can see that everything that happened until now is done by God. Like everything that got you to the presence of this moment, being able to be here in the present moment, was done by God. It was orchestrated, it was manifested by the divine. From this moment on, once you hit that presence of this moment, From this moment on, we let go of the past. It's gone. It's done. It doesn't exist any longer. From this moment on, now I get to choose between good and bad. Because now I'm actually choosing. Now I have will. I'm in the present moment. I've come and I've arrived now into a state of consciousness, elevated consciousness, presence of the divine. And now I can choose. Now I choose between good and bad. Before, it doesn't matter, and I wasn't choosing necessarily. I was unconscious. I wasn't awake. And so it all happened by God. It all happened from God. That's not to say I'm not responsible for any of my actions prior to this moment. It's just, it's a metaphysical understanding that everything that happened until now is by God. And from this moment on, from here in this presence, in this present moment, now I have the ability to choose between good and bad, to choose between consciousness and sleep, consciousness and unconsciousness, wakefulness and sleep, God or like God's revelation, or hiding God, the exile of God. The revelation of God or the exile of God. Now I choose. Now I'm choosing in this moment. And this moment is what counts. Powerful teachings tonight. This was really nice. I was a little bit sleepy last night, but tonight we came through. So thank you. Blessings on the evening. We'll see you tomorrow.